evening all, happy birthday Dust, 2 years, flippin' heck, where did those 2 years go? So this is our celebratory match. We're playing this match. This was the first one I played in the year 3 of Dust 514, the exciting third year. So let's see where it takes us. Interesting times coming, interesting stuff ahead. I still think this game's got a great life ahead. And yes, I do shit talk it quite a bit, but hey, that's what I do. So as always, it's going to be this sort of fun time ahead when we look at what's going to come in Dust. Now, I actually would say, and this is going to be a bit of a controversial one maybe, that actually this could be the best year yet for Dust. I know, people are just sort of scratching their head saying, but I thought you hate this game. No, of course I don't. I mean, you don't play a game for, coming into its third year now. I remember I was playing in the closed beta as well, so pretty much from day 2. Day 2 was it? Maybe a bit longer, but it was maybe a week after the game was released. I got the nod from Josh, who had been playing it, that hey, it's actually pretty good. So I logged in, and yeah, I'm still here, and I still think this is a very good game. And yes, I know I'm very critical of the game. I think I'd had this wonderful thing where the first match that we tried to get into, we had the weirdest error. I'll maybe show it at the end or something, but it was such a strange error that, I do think to myself, what on earth is going on there? But, other than that, the game is still a really fun shooter. Now, let's just talk about that, because I think that, of all the disservice I maybe pay this game, the reality is there is a huge amount of fun when it comes to the gun game. As you can see, just with my general arson about right there, there is something very beautiful about this game. It's like the death bit, when you kind of kill someone and you're like, dude, I just owned you, literally. And look, I just jumped on that guy's head. I mean, this game I think has a very nice gun game, and let me tell you kind of why that's important, because when you look at Counter-Strike has got probably the best gun game, because it is very fast-paced, frantic kind of shooty-shoot game. But the thing with Counter-Strike is that it's just very easy to die. You die in split second, yeah. So you never necessarily get satisfaction, let's say. Whereas in this game, because you can tank, you can obviously evade and such. You do get, I think, a bit of an easier time when it comes to the gun game. You can actually have that more. Counter-Strike is like a split second TTK, right? Whereas in this, it's a bit longer, not hugely longer. It used to be longer, but it's certainly longer than CS. So you can have a good time, as Schley would say. But anyway, I just think generally the game has still got a wonderful core to it. Let's talk about some of the negatives, maybe. I mean, the game is showing its age in terms of graphics. But is that a big problem? I'd probably say no. I think the graphical look of the game is actually okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're seeing now. My issue would be with the frame rates. The frame rates are still a little slow, and I must admit, when I've been playing a lot of things like H1Z1, I've been playing a bit of Far Cry, I've been playing quite a few things actually, and I think the thing to bear in mind with those, I guess, games is when you're playing on PC, you're playing with about 60 frames a second, and that becomes a luxury. That really does. I mean, I was watching actually my brother play Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and I was just gobsmacked by the beauty of that game. I mean, I do generally play Call of Duty games, but with this one, I bought it and never played it. And it's funny because when my brother visits me, he's the one that plays it, strangely enough. So this is the kind of thing when you see how beautiful that game is and how clever the game's kind of graphics are when you compare it to what they're doing with the mechanics. It's a very, very impressive game indeed, and I do think that perhaps maybe needs to be the next thing they focus on. I don't think they need to redesign the whole engine. Well, maybe they do. Post in the comments, tell me what you think. But for me, I think I'd be quite happy with just a little bit of an improvement of the speed, which I know they've done a lot of work on, but again, it does feel like there's a problem still. So there we go. But I've got to admit, the reality is that we played, how many? Let me count. I can even count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 matches on this fair eve. and I probably would say 2 of them are good. So that's kind of problem number 2, is that they need to sort out how whatever it is in the matchmaking or whatever it is that just gives us, firstly, it takes a long time to get into a match, and I do mean a long time. Half an hour is a long time to wait. I think the average of this particular night was, I think, around 15 minutes. So, 15 minutes, that's not good. And I everyone's saying, oh, it's because no one's playing. But I don't know, I don't believe that. I actually think it's something different to that. I don't know. I think if, let's say they do have a population issue, okay, let's say that was actually the reason why it's taken forever to get in, then they would have likely got rid of matchmaking yonks ago, right? And they haven't, because we're still fighting relatively the same tier of people. So part of me thinks it's nothing to do with population in this case, because you look at it, I mean, at peak they get around 2,500 people playing, and let me be clear, that is not actually that bad. I mean, when you think about it, Space Engineers, which is a 1 million unit selling game now, that gets, I think, around at peak 10,000, but on average around, I think, 5,000. So you think about it, this game is half as good as Space Engineers, which is, is good. That is actually good, relatively interesting numbers. I think the challenge is going to be keeping players. So I think already we're seeing, the same groups of people. I mean, look at this. Look at these. Yeah, tanks are fixed, right? Jesus, this whole video should just be labelled "Tanks are not fixed, brah," because they're not. I mean, that's insulting to suggest they're even close to being fixed. But anyway, we're not going to mind about that. I think that generally the problem is that a lot of players who are left are your very kind of hardcore, die-hard players, which again is wonderful because it means you get a good fight. But I think they just need to draw more people in, and I still think just put it on PC. Just put it on PC and make it part of the Eve browser so people download it naturally by default. And then just quite simply have a little button in the corner when they log in that says, would you like to create a dust merc? And then basically it's like the dashboard marketing concept. You know the dashboard marketing concept, right? You've heard of that, haven't you, bro? No? All right, let me tell you. I'm joking, of course. But look, the dashboard marketing concept is very simple. You market to people who are completionists, and that's, let's face it, most people who... BMW do this. BMW generally assume that if you're buying a BMW, you want all of the switches filled on your dashboard. You don't want holes or little gaps or little areas where a button should be, but you don't have it because that upsets them. And you do exactly the same with that in Eve, the client. So all of these Eve completionists who, literally are just completely, absolutely in love with the game, have this button that until they click it and then start to actually have a dust character and use it, it's not completed. I just think that would be such an easy, cool way to market the flipping game, and you would get a lot of people. But again, that does assume you're going to be on PC, and it does assume many things. I mean, maybe they could even do that now. Maybe they could have the Eve client search the dust database register and say, have you got a dust character? No? Okay, bang, there you go. Make a dust character, otherwise you're not complete and others are better than you and they know the game better than you and you're really sad. If you do that, then I think you would actually have an amazing uptick of people that play. But again, you need the PlayStation. That's the problem. A lot of people, again, the completionists would laugh and mock at the fact that you'd need a PS3, which is old technology. So I don't think there's ever an easy way to do this. Sad in a way, but I think there's got to be something that they can do. When you look at all the 1,000,001 kind of games out there, it's funny. I mean, let me just talk just generally. It's amazing how badly marketed the games industry is. I mean, when you sort of, CCP had a CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, and I think he basically must have just spent all day going because I just don't get the impression he actually did much for the game. Did he grow the player base? No. Did he create innovative new products and new drive? Debatable. I think this is kind of the irony, is that it does feel that the best marketing officers in the world generally don't want to work for games companies. They want to work for banks where they can basically earn huge amounts of money and sit in their mega empire offices in their ivory towers snorting cocaine and touching the intern's bottom from time to time. I think that's the problem, is you just don't get that kind of very, I guess, clever marketing going on. Now, I know this because from my day to day in what I do, IRL, that there is a lot of people who are just geniuses when it comes to how they basically run marketing campaigns. And these are people who are just absolutely aggressive with it as well. Maybe that's missing. Maybe that needs to be the thing. Maybe, just thinking about it, maybe an affiliates program is needed for Dust. Like with Eve, you have that kind of thing where get people in to play this game and blah 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 blah. Maybe they needed that for this game, but they never really showed it. I know you had that horrible partner program that nobody ever gave a flying monkeys about, and I never finally got my end blueprint, by the way. I never got my master recruiter. Just saying, CCP, never got it. But I think that's maybe something to rekindle. I don't know. Are they interested in doing this? It doesn't feel it. It feels as if they've just been completely on hawks for some time with this game. And I think that's what frustrates me, and it's what frustrates others. So yeah, there we go. I don't know. Interesting stuff. Post in the comments. Should they market this game? What can they do? Tell me what they can do, bro. I honestly think that they have such a little gem here still. It's still an incredibly fun game. But think about it. For CCP to come into the market of FPSs with no previous knowledge at all, really, of it. Yes, they got a few people from DICE. Yes, they had a few knowledgeable parties, but they didn't really have anything. And to produce a game that, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, is far superior to PlanetSide 2, which is the only real competition. Warframe, there you go. Warframe's a good example. Warframe is probably its main winner in the group right now. Warframe has at least 22,000 people a night playing it at peak, so that's probably 100, 200, 300,000 people who are involved with the game. And I think that's probably a good marker, is that it should be at that kind of level. But because it's on PS3, and because things like Destiny made lots of people sell their PS3s, that should have been almost the red rag to the bull of CCP to say, you've got to move the platform now, because if you don't, you're going to have a bad time. And I think if they'd have put it on PS4, or they had put it on PC, is their decision. But I think PC probably is the right place for it. And then you could have, quite frankly, put it on Steam as a free game, and you would have had just a god ton of people coming to play your game. Yes, it's a different mindset. Yes, there's hacking. Yes, there's all this stuff. But at the end of the day, it also means, yes, there's a population of significance. And I think that is maybe the future of the game. I don't know. But if I was CCP, if I was in charge, if I had my way, then terror and horror would haunt the halls of CCP. But I would actually push for it to be a Steam free game, and then just basically make the Aurum store on the Steam marketplace, and you would just shit money. There we go. Good round, fun round. Had fun with that one. That was a real weird, fun, crazy, silly round. So I hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you next time.